thank you everyone for joining us. This is an interview with Justice Brandon Neuman, Judge Brandon Neuman, who is running for Pennsylvania Superior Court. I'm Peter Calcara, Vice President of Government Relations. I want to welcome everyone. So, Judge Neuman, we have members of our PICPA, CPA-PAC board joining us as well. As I said, I'm Peter Calcara, Vice President of Government Relations. We didn't have much interaction when you were in Harrisburg with the General Assembly, but it's good to see you again. So PICPA is the second oldest and fifth largest CPA organization in the country. We represent 18,000 CPAs from across the spectrum of the profession, members in public accounting, members in business and industry, education, government. So we have the gamut, the whole gamut covered. We are using these interviews simply as kind of a meet and greet. We're not going to get into like a legal analysis. We just want our members to kind of get to know who you are. There are a lot of other platforms out there where they can, examine your bar rating or what have you. We just kind of want to just get to know who the person is and why he or she is running for a certain office. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And our first question is, tell us a little bit about yourself and also why you're running for Superior Court.
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Washington County. I'm currently a judge here in Washington County, almost 8 years as a judge. I've done just about every docket. Right now I have a civil docket and I preside over Veterans Court. I am the youngest of four and I also have four children. So my children are 9, 7, 5, and 3. So my wife can't wait for these 34 days to be over so that I'm not on the road all the time traveling across the beautiful Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. But while I was in the House of Representatives, I had the ability to write laws, had some significant legislation get passed while we were in the minority. And then as a judge, I have the experience now to be on the Superior Court. The Superior Court really, for me, is they handle the topics that I'm interested in. I was a civil litigator out of law school, and now as a judge doing family law first with dependency, and then criminal court, which the bulk of the Superior Court, 60% of the Superior Court appeals are actually criminal. And now doing more of the complex civil stuff for the last couple of years. All of that interests me. And so I really enjoy being a trial judge and developing a record and doing jury trials and doing non-jury trials. At the end of the day, I want to use that experience on a statewide level, make sure that every county is doing things properly, following the Constitution, following the law, making sure that Pennsylvania has judges that they can be proud of and have the experience like I do as a judge to go to the next level on the appellate court.
So why did you choose to pursue a career in law?
So I went to University of Richmond for undergrad. I was actually planning on going to law enforcement. So I was planning on going into the FBI, some sort of federal law enforcement. And then after, going to and figuring out exactly what that would entail, I knew that I wanted to live in Pittsburgh, and sparked my interest probably my junior year in college to go to law school. I love dealing with people, and I like and helping them out. And that was my pathway to be able to do that. And so law school seemed like a logical thing for me at the time. Being the youngest of four and the son of a teacher, education is very important in my family. And all of my siblings have advanced degrees as well. And law was the one that interested me the most.
So I just as a kind of a sidebar, you're originally from Washington too, right? Correct?
Born and raised Washington County, 20 miles south of Pittsburgh, actually from 84, Pennsylvania. 84 Lumber's named after our town, not the other way around.
Right.
We're actually, we're fortunate enough just a couple years to move to 84. We weren't in Canonsburg, but now we are in 84. So just a couple miles from where I grew up.
Well, I know Washington. My daughter went to Washington and Jefferson. So
yeah.
W&J. So I spent some time in
I'm
the
looking
area.
at it right now, actually. It's just right across the street.
Beautiful campus, beautiful
It
campus.
is.
So sorry for the divergence. You spent a number of years in the legislature and now a number of years as a member of the Court of Common Pleas in Washington. Greatest legislative or legal accomplishment that you'd like to talk about?
So in the legislature, I was the prime sponsor of what was called the Debbie Smith Act. It was implementing a federal piece of legislation in Pennsylvania to end the backlog of the testing of rape kits. We had some kits sitting for over 18 months to 2 years without being tested. I formalized the guidelines and made sure that kits were tested in a timely fashion to get timely justice for victims and to get perpetrators off the street. You know, a lot of these sexually violent predators go across state lines, and they do have DNA uploaded to CODIS. And so this brought prosecution to a increased prosecution and got them off the streets a lot quicker and brought timely justice to victims of sexual assault. And so I was very proud of that legislation. I was in the minority at that point, and just to be able to get a piece of legislation to the governor's desk from the minority, something that was so significant as that, I was very proud of that. Legally, I represented a lot of clients. Most of my cases were civil. You know, at the time frame, I mostly practiced in Allegheny County. The time frame in which I was practicing law, most everything settled. So I've had some clients that I was very proud to represent. All of their settlements are confidential, but they, you know, some of my clients had, yeah, just real people with real issues that I was able to help, and I was proud to help them along the way.
Have you had much intersection with the CPA community in your legal and legislative career?
A few experts have come along in not they were ancillary to any of the issues. They were just providing information to some sort of economical loss or you know, differences of opinion of what something would be worth in terms of damages. I have a CPA personally, and so I've worked with them closely. But you, like judges, are a little isolated, and so I deal with a lot of CPAs that are Rotarians. I deal with CPAs that are members of the community that are proud of where they're from and help the community. But on a personal level, it's been a professional relationship, and then in the
Sure,
legal field and legislative field, it's always been professional relationship.
sure. Is there a state court decision over the last few years, maybe not that something you've been involved in that you believe has had a big impact on the business community?
The business community. I mean, I've had lots of cases that involve businesses. The law is the law, and the Constitution is the Constitution. The majority cases that I deal with, some of them end at summary judgment in favor of businesses because they're either a frivolous lawsuit or a lawsuit that there's no legal basis for the business to be in that lawsuit. I've had some cases that have been appealed to the Superior and Commonwealth Court that involve businesses. Um, Nothing of like great significance or great precedent that you would see on an everyday basis that you're reading, you know, probably in your newsletters as CPAs. The most significant case recently I had, the case that just came down from the Supreme Court was an elections case. That was actually my case. I got affirmed from the Supreme Court based on my opinion, what I wrote in the situation that was going on in Washington County. And so I was just affirmed on that case. But specific to businesses, most of my cases still settle.
Yeah,
I operate in a very efficient manner because I know that there's people behind each case. And so at the outset, you always have something scheduled in front of me because I do not want your case to linger. And so you will always be ready to tell me where your case is and let this get this thing moving the trial, or let this get this thing moving to settlement track. For instance, this year between January and June, I scheduled 10 jury trials. 9 of them settled, but they just needed to be scheduled so that the case would get moving. And so I'm cognizant of the money and time that is spent for businesses and people to be part of lawsuits, and I try to efficiently move their cases along so that they can make a decision if they want to settle the matter or if they want to go to trial.
How would you describe kind of your judicial philosophy, and what do you see as the proper role of a judge?
So I know you don't want to talk about my bar rating, but that will tell you what people think of me, my colleagues and the attorneys that come in front of me. I am the only candidate that's highly recommended for this position, and it is because I take this job very seriously and I listen. I know that there are people behind each case, and they want a neutral party to hear them, and they want to make sure that they are getting a fair and impartial ruling. At the end of the day, I set expectations for each case. Of each of the anybody who comes in front of me knows the expectations, and sometimes the law is just not in their favor, and so I have to be the one to explain to them why. Either the Constitution, most likely the law. The Constitution cases aren't as prevalent as cases that involve a statute. And so I explain to them why a law may not be in their favor. And so making sure that you set the expectations. I know that that case in front of me today is the most important thing to that person. And so it is incumbent upon the court to listen, and then but also set expectations that the court can only do so much, and our job is to follow the law, and our job is to follow the Constitution. As a legislator, I understand how hard it is to make a law. It is not easy to govern, and so it is not incumbent upon judges to make laws. It is, even if personally a judge does not agree with a policy decision, that is not our job. We are not policymakers. We are not policy deciders. We follow the law, and if the law is constitutional, no matter if a judge agrees with it or disagrees with it, that is what they have to follow. But when you explain that to people, they understand it, and that's where setting expectations to the litigants really helps, because they might go in there thinking that they have the best case in the world, and then once you explain the law to them, and they didn't listen to their attorney, because I assume their attorney told them the same thing. Once you explain the powers of the judiciary and what we can and cannot do, um, they leave there at least knowing that they were heard and that they had a fair and impartial judge.
I want to open it up now to any of the CPA-PAC board members if they have any questions. I only have one final question for the judge. So,
Come on,
Judge
I want
Neuman,
some CPA questions, like some good numbers. Judges aren't good at numbers, so.
well, two last questions. Your vision of the future of the judicial system. Any changes that you think are necessary for the process to work more efficiently, more effectively? Any ideas if you have that opportunity?
Oh, so I have some ideas coming from really the bulk of the cases start and stop in court of common pleas. And me being a judge now, hopefully ascending to the appellate court, I will be able to assist in writing rules and doing some things that can make things better, especially in civil. I think making sure that something is always scheduled so that attorneys are not dusting off their files every year and reminding me that they have a case. We can do things more efficiently at the county level. It might be a little bit more work on the front end, but the cases will get resolved a lot quicker. On the appellate end, the Superior Court is one of the busiest appellate courts in the country. It has a panel generally of 3 judges that hear cases. I can't do anything without my colleagues, but I would like to explore having different dockets. They have a fast track docket right now. but the fast track can take 10 months. And generally fast tracks deal with children. And whenever you have parents that are in limbo for 10 months as to what's going to happen next, that's not fair to the litigants. That's not fair to the parents. That's not fair to the children. So I would like to see a bifurcated docket, one where we can get people in front of us a lot quicker, maybe shorten the period of time for when briefs are due and when we get the full record from the county, and get some of these cases completed in a quicker fashion. Some of the cases just take a long time. I get it. But there are a number of cases where I think we can clean up an appellate court docket just by bifurcating them in a fashion that makes sense for the litigants and for the people behind those cases. And that would have to be in direct communication. Obviously, we don't do anything without the approval of the Supreme Court. And I would like some input from other counties. I mean, Washington County's unique in some ways, but in a lot of ways when it comes to backlog and things of that nature, we're not unique. So listen to some of these other county judges to see how we can get them decisions quicker to resolve matters. I know businesses are important, but families and kids and leaving them in limbo, I think is something that's an unfair to them. So I'd like to move them up even quicker.
Last question. Why should PICPA members vote for you for a seat on the Superior Court?
Yeah, so this race is, for me, and always will be, about qualifications. The support that I have, the qualifications that I have transcend politics. It doesn't matter who comes in front of me. And if you read my Bar Association rating, I'm the only candidate that's highly recommended. And nothing against my opponents, but they're both not recommended for this position. And then also my endorsements of law enforcement, my endorsements across the Commonwealth that show you a bipartisan support and just support for fairness. My record speaks for itself of being fair and impartial. People that are independent of me have reported that to the Bar Association, and you can read what they wrote about me. And the other candidates. I think it's a great resource. At the end of the day, I believe I have the experience that it takes to hit the ground running on the Superior Court, and being fair and impartial, and always cognizant of that there is a person, people, or a business that is behind each case, and each case needs to be taken seriously, but also be handled efficiently so that people can move on and get a ruling that is fair to their case. So I enjoy what I do right now, but for me, it is about making sure that every single county across Pennsylvania has the same set of standards, and that no matter what zip code you live in, that the law and the Constitution is the same and it's followed in the same fashion. And I look forward to hopefully ascending to that bench, and I hope that I can count on your support to do that. And your vote on November 4th, or if you vote by mail even earlier. There's actually ballots already they're already actually voting in some counties now. So I appreciate you taking the time to show that you care about judges, because there's not a lot of interest and the information is low. I say on the campaign trail, I'm running for the second least sexiest race you can run for. The least sexy race is Commonwealth Court, because nobody knows what Commonwealth Court does. And so these races are important. I mean, you give us an opportunity to sit for 10 years. That is a long time. And so you should know who your judges are and know that they're going to follow the law and Constitution, and not roll with any fear or any favor towards anyone. So I'd appreciate your support for this election.